So today we'll discuss on inheritance in object-oriented ABAP. It is one of the core pillar of object-oriented programming. So what is inheritance? So inheritance allows the subclass or child class, right, to reuse the methods and attributes of the superclass, right? So here subclass is like a child class where superclass is like a parent class, right? You can reuse the existing implementations available in class in a different class, right? You can add methods and attributes available in the superclass along with own methods and attributes in the subclass, right? If you use inheritance, you can reuse the functionalities available in the superclass. Along with that, you can add your own functionalities in the subclass, right? And apart from reusing, you can also extend the functionality, add additional features to the superclass methods or attributes, right? By using inheritance concept. Okay, is everyone clear on this? Is everyone clear on this?
Sir, extended means we can add more
Hmm.
methods to subclass, right?
Not more methods. See, you can add any number of methods to the subclass. They are specific to the subclass. Extending in the sense the functionality which you are reusing from the superclass can be extended, right? By redefine. Okay? By redefining, right? By redefining, you can reuse the functionality of the extend the functionality of the superclass with some additional features in the subclass level, right? But you are not going to disturb the superclass method, right? You are just redefining in the subclass level, and you are not going to disturb the superclass method. It will be still same in the superclass. You are not disturbing anything, right? You can extend it using inheritance concept. To use inheritance, what is the prerequisite?
Final, it should not be final.
To use inheritance, the superclass should not be, the superclass property should not be final, right? It should be, it should enable subclasses so that you should not select the final, okay? So what is the main advantage of inheritance? It promotes
Reuse the
reusability, right? And also you can create classes with some relation like subclass, superclass with some functionality and subclass with some additional functionality. I'll tell you an example. Your leader, someone created one superclass with some default implementation details, right? By selecting all common data, all implementations, methods, validations, right? All the validations, common business logic is implemented in one superclass, right? Where that superclass being used by different developers in the team to develop their own applications, but the data is common for them, right? So they can reuse the existing superclass functionality by creating a subclass for the superclass, right? So that they can reuse or they can extend the functionality without disturbing the superclass. The superclass can be used by multiple developers in their respective subclasses, right? So that developers don't need to worry about a lot of business logic, about validating something, about writing some business logic to select the data, right? For example, they are all developing the Adobe forms or print forms, Somewhere we need to prepare the data, right? Let's say your lead or someone created a class where he implemented all the validations, business logic in place. Now, you are not very expert in creating the business logic, but you are good in creating the Adobe forms, designing the layouts. You can simply use that class methods in your program to read the data, and you can concentrate only on the form designing. You don't need to worry about validations, what is the tables you need to join, what are the conditions you need to use. You don't need to worry about it, right? You can use a subclass, use the superclass functionality, call the methods in your driver program, and call your form, right? You don't need to worry about a lot of things by reusing the superclass. Is everyone clear?
Yes.
So when we create abstract classes, right? So we use inheritance concept to to acquire superclasses. Okay. Now there are different types of inheritance. There are different types of inheritance techniques here. Let's say there is one class called ABC and it contains attributes, method A and method B. This is public method. B is private method. Let's assume B is private method and A is public method. Public are protected. Method A can be public or protected, but B is private method. It's a private method. Now, when I use the inheritance concept, when I try to acquire the properties of superclass in the subclass, class DEF, I'm going to use class ABC as a superclass. Now DEF is a subclass, right? Now, what methods and attributes we are going to get in class DEF?
Attributes and method.
So it's going to automatically contains attribute one and your own attributes of class subclass. You can include your own attributes in the subclass level, right? And method A and method C.
Attribute 1
Your voice is not clear.
and method A.
Guys, is it clear for you guys? Can you let me know what is speaking? I'm not able to understand.
It's not clear.
Okay. Looks like some network issue. Please type in the chat. Okay, now superclass attribute ATT1 and method A is acquired in the subclass, and I've added my own class in the subclass level. A new method, sorry, not class, a method in the subclass level, that is C. Why the class B is not inherited?
As it's private.
It is
Because it's
private
private.
method. Private methods and private attributes we cannot inherit into subclass. So what type of methods and attributes can be inherited?
Public and
Public and
protected.
protected methods. Okay. So private methods and attributes are only local to that class. We cannot reuse or inherit into subclasses. Right? Public and protected methods can be reused. Now, we have created one superclass, and for one superclass we have one subclass, right? And we were able to reuse attributes and methods in the one subclass. So what do we call this inheritance? Single inheritance. It is called single inheritance, right? We have one superclass with only one subclass, right? We are reusing the superclass in only one subclass. So what type of inheritance it is?
Single inheritance.
Single
Single.
inheritance. Now, let's assume all are public or protected. We don't have any private attributes. This is superclass. Now, I've created a subclass for the superclass ABC. Class DEF. Class DEF is acquiring superclass ABC, where it contains superclass attributes ATT1, method A and method B, and I've added method for the subclass. Right? I've added method for the subclass. That is method C. Now, let's assume these are all public or protected attributes and methods. And also I've added one attribute, that is attribute 2. Okay. Now, I have another subclass where I'm using this subclass DEF as a superclass for the next level subclass. Class some GHJ. There is one subclass where DEF is the superclass. Now, what methods and attributes it contains? For this GHJ, DEF is the superclass. Subclass can be a superclass of another subclass. Please remember, one subclass can be a superclass for another subclass. Okay? Here DEF is the superclass for GHJ. Now, what methods and attributes it's going to contains?
All the attributes and methods which are in DEF.
ATT1, ATT2, ATT3 if you add any attribute, in your own class, in this subclass, MA, B, MC, and if you add any other class, sorry, any method, any own method in this subclass, that method also available. So whatever the first level superclass and next level superclass, all the combination of methods will be reused in the third level subclass. This is called what type of inheritance?
Multiple.
Multi-level.
Multi-level. Okay, multi-level inheritance.
Sir, any keyword is there to inherit properties from superclass? Huh?
Yeah, we use super arrow mark when we are writing in the code, right? We use super arrow mark keyword in the syntax to call that instance or attributes or methods. In implementing in global classes, you don't need to do any of such. You just need to add it as a superclass. It will automatically add those methods and attributes in the method. Now, so what type of inheritance it is called? There might be one more level. There might be another subclass where GHJ is the superclass, right? So this is called multi-level inheritance, where one superclass have one subclass, and thus that subclass is going to act as superclass for the another subclass, where the methods acquired in the previous superclasses can be added in the next level subclass, right? Like this, you can reuse again. You can make GHJ as a superclass for another subclass. Okay, this is called multi-level inheritance. Now,
Sir, a subclass can have only one superclass.
yes, a subclass can contains only one superclass. So that's what in other programmings, I think multiple inheritance is possible, where we can assign multiple superclasses for one subclass, where we cannot add multiple superclasses for one subclass here. I'll tell you the reason why we cannot add. Let me show you that multiple inheritance example. Let's say we have two superclasses here for one subclass. We are acquiring two superclasses in one subclass. So this contains class A, B, C, and attribute 1, method A. Now let's assume both classes contains methods with same name. Right? For example, save data method that is available in both classes, both superclasses. Right? Now we are acquiring both classes into superclass. Now which methods we are going to have in the subclass?
Not
Method
possible.
A, method B.
Method A, method B. But method A is available in both classes, right?
Yes.
Now, is it possible to add duplicate method names in the class or duplicate attribute names in the class? Means method with same name multiple times or attribute with same name with multiple times. Is it going to allow?
No.
It will allow only unique names for attribute names or method names. It won't allow duplicate names, right? So that is why if you try to use both classes as superclasses for one subclass, it is duplicating this attribute 1 and method A, right? It won't allow duplicate names in the method. right, in the subclass. That's why multiple inheritance is not possible, right? In this case, it should be like this. In same class, duplicate method names and duplicate attributes are not allowed. That's why we cannot use multiple inheritance in ABAP. Okay, we cannot have two superclasses for one subclass. This is the dependency. But is there a way where we can reuse or where we can use multiple superclasses in one subclass? So the alternative for this is, right? The alternative for this is interfaces, right? The alternative for multiple inheritance. What is that concept available in object oriented ABAP?
Interfaces. Sir, what if the class ABC contains different attributes and different method?
Different methods, yeah. If it is available, but that is allowed, right? But there is no guarantee that, right, where developers can create or can implement different method names all the time. So it's not following the proper programming guidelines, right? So every time someone has to make sure there are two different methods and attributes available in two superclasses, right? There is no standard that superclass is not going to accept it, right?
Okay.
So that is the alternative provided by ABAP to implement this multiple inheritance is, so why interface are allowed? So why interface are allowed? Because method of each interface, right? Method name or attribute name of each interface will be prefixed with the interface name. For example, method name will be like this: if data a method a. Okay, method name will be like this for interfaces. If it is a different interface, method name might be same, but interface name is different, right? Each method, this is, so when you add the interface, right, this is the method name it's going to add in the class. So it will be prefixed with interface name for each method. In this case, it is not duplicating, right? Even though the method name is same, since it is prefixing with interface name, both interfaces are different, then it is not like the class is allowing the same method name, right?
Yes.
It's very important interview question. So multiple inheritance is not possible in ABAP. So how can you achieve multiple inheritance?
Right.
Two interface.
Using interfaces.
Using interfaces, and you should be able to explain why multiple inheritance is not possible. What's stopping to use multiple inheritance, right? Is everyone clear?
Yes.
Now there is one more inheritance that is called hierarchical inheritance. What do you mean by hierarchical inheritance? For example, one superclass.
So one superclass contain two subclass.
Yes, one superclass contains any number of subclasses. Okay, one superclass can contains any number of subclasses, no dependency on that. That's what we call as hierarchical inheritance. So this superclass contains three subclasses, and This subclass contains few more subclasses. In each level, this subclass acts as superclass for the next level, right? So what do we call this inheritance?
Hierarchy.
Hierarchical inheritance, right? So we call it as hierarchical inheritance, where there are different layers of subclasses. For each subclass, there will be multiple subclasses, right? That will go on, depends on your requirement. So this is called hierarchical inheritance. Is everyone clear?
Yes.
Now, let's create a class using inheritance. Let me reuse our existing class, which we are, where is the constructor method? Or is it a different class? I think we copied it. Okay, let's take this class as example. Let's assume this is our super class. But is it supporting inheritance?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Final checkbox is selected. That means it won't allow you to add it to a subclass. The prerequisite is remove the final checkbox. Now let's assume here there is some default functionality to read the PO data. And in the next level, I wanted to read corresponding some delivery or inbound delivery or invoice data corresponding to this PO data, right? So next, what is the next step I need to do? So I'm going to create a subclass for this where I'm not going to disturb this function, this basic functionality, where I want to reuse these methods and attributes, and I want to add my own methods in the class. Now let me create a class subclass A or subclass 1. Create the class. Now we are creating a subclass, right? Do we need to select final checkbox for subclass?
Not required.
It is not required. But if you want to restrict it, if you don't want to allow further inheritance, like you wanted to limit only single inheritance, use this final checkbox. Otherwise, remove it, because this subclass can be a superclass for different subclass, right? Save it, select the package and save it. Select proper transport request which you've created for this application. Continue. Now go to properties, go to superclass. How to add a superclass? Go to superclass and provide it here. Can you see any methods and attributes?
No.
Because save it. Once you save it, you can see methods and attributes which are coming from the superclass, right? Double click on the method. Currently we are in subclass. Double click on this. It will take you to the superclass because it is calling from the superclass, right? Is everyone clear? Double click on the constructor method. It will take you to the implementing class. That means superclass. These methods are not specific to this subclass, right? This subclass is not the owner of these methods, right? You cannot change any code, whatever implemented inside this methods from the subclass, right? Is everyone clear? Same with attributes. You can get the data here even without executing anything, even without writing anything. You can get the PO data in the subclass level whenever you reuse the superclass. And along with that, you can add your own attributes and methods here, right? For example, you can add constants, attributes. For example, I'll add one constant here. Or maybe select it as a constant. Char 1. Okay. You can add your own methods here. Along with the superclass methods, you can add your own methods here. Read delivery data. Let me make it as a protected. You know, right, how to add importing parameters, exporting parameters. Just returning some message in this implementation. Not creating any implementation here. Activate the subclass. So this is how you can reuse. For example, I told you about extending the functionality, right? How can you extend the functionality of superclass method? There is one important option
Using
here by using redefine here. Place the cursor on the method, use this option, redefine method, right? So you can add your own functionality here along with the superclass functionality. Someone asked me, right, how to call superclass method in the subclass like this: super, arrow mark, and the method or attribute name. This is how you can call the superclass methods in subclasses. Okay. So here, along with the standard functionality, if you want to extend anything more, right? If you want to extend anything more, you can add here by using redefine, right? For example, et output, I'll leave it as it is. And if you want to do some custom validations in subclass level, this is not specific to the superclass, right? Delete et output where okay, some custom functionality I'm going to add here where I'm going to delete where netpr is less than or equal to, sorry, less than 1. That's my custom functionality using in the subclass level, right? That is not specific to the superclass. Please remember, this is how I can extend, right? This is how I can extend superclass functionality within the subclass. What option we need to use? Redefine. Okay, redefine option we are going to use. Now try to double click on this method, read PO data method. Where it is going? It's not going to superclass, right? Why? Because we redefined it. We redefined the method, right? Now
So
let's
what if
make,
any changes make to the superclass? Do we need to recall it again in subclass?
No, you don't need. You don't need to call it again. You're not at all calling here. You are just adding it as a superclass. So the methods and attribute will be automatically added here. Okay. Whatever the changes you applied in the superclass, they will be automatically applied to subclass.
Okay.
But there is one dependency. You redefine this method, right?
Yes.
Maybe in your superclass level, you did some changes to the business logic. It won't affect the subclass because you're just calling the method. But if you remove any import export parameters, that will impact the subclass when you redefine it. But if there is any code change, that's not going to impact. That will be automatically applied for the super subclass as well. But if you removed signature means import export parameters, that will impact the subclass. Okay? Is
Only
everyone
in case of
clear?
redefining, it will affect.
Sorry, what is it?
Only in case of redefining only, it will affect.
Only in case of redefining. That too, if you change signature of the method in the superclass level, that means changing importing parameter names, right? Exporting parameter names in that case, because we are referring those parameter names here, right?
Yes.
It won't work. Now, how to call a subclass?
Creating.
How to call a subclass in the program? Do you need to do anything special to call the subclass?
No.
Read PO data report. I think this is the one. Now, what I am going to do? So my lead provided the superclass, right? I've inherited that superclass into one subclass, right? I'm going to create one application for purchase order report where I wanted to use that superclass as my default implementation or business logic, and I want to add my own methods in the subclass, right? Now, which class I am going to call in my program? Superclass or subclass?
Subclass.
Subclass, right? Because you created your own redefine your own attributes and methods in the subclass for your application by reusing the superclass. Now, how to call the subclass? Same process, no difference. Create the object, for this, and pass the importing and exporting parameters. Since we have a constructor method, if you have a constructor method, right, which is coming from the superclass. Since there is a
Yes.
constructor method, you have to pass the import parameters, date and material number. Create the object. This is while we are creating the object, pass the import and export parameters and call the method, read data method. From which class it is going to call? From superclass or
Subclass.
subclass? So this
Subclass.
read PO data method
Subclass.
from
Subclass.
subclass, right? Let me keep a breakpoint and check inside the, or maybe here or here. So execute. Now F5. If I press F5, which class it's going to call while creating the object, while calling the constructor method? F5. Where we are at? Superclass or subclass?
Superclass.
It's calling superclass constructor method because we did not redefine it, right? It is calling from the superclass, right? But you are calling the subclass, but it will actually referring to superclass method. Now, superclass constructor is executed. Check the PO data. Sorry, where is it? Here. Now F5. Now it is calling read PO data method of subclass. F5. Which class method it is calling?
Sub
Subclass, because we redefined it, right? If you don't redefine, again it's going to call the superclass method only. Okay? I'm going to delete network less than 1. This functionality is specific to my subclass. That's why I redefined it. Since I want this validation, which is specific to my application. But for the rest of the developers, they need to use this PO data. That's why I'm not disturbing the superclass and I am redefining subclass. I am redefining that method in the subclass so that original functionality will be safe as it is, right? Where I can add my own flavor in the subclass level. Okay. So it deleted few records which are less than 1 and populated the data, right? Is everyone clear? How to create a subclass and how to call in the program? Now you can create subclass 2 for this subclass. Now this sub1 acts as a superclass for another subclass. Let me create one more subclass to check how multiple inheritance will work. Sorry, not multiple, multi-level. Sub2. So what is the property of this subclass? Okay, it's not final. Enabled for inheritance. Create one more subclass. Save the class. Add it to a transport request. Now go to the properties. Provide the superclass. Add the previous subclass as a superclass here. Save it. Now go to attributes. What attributes you can see here? From where this is coming from? GTA PO data. Double
subclass
click.
1. Subclass 1.
No, it is coming from superclass. Sorry, the basic superclass. This one, this constant
From subclass.
from
Subclass.
subclass. Go to methods. What methods you can see here? Did we create constructor in the subclass?
No.
No.
Previous subclass, no, right? Double click on the constructor. Where it is taking you? To the first level superclass, right? Not to the immediate superclass. It is taking to the first actual implementing class, right? PO data, where it is taking you to the immediate superclass. Why? Because we redefined it. Then that method is going to consider it as local method to the subclass when you redefine it. Okay, that's why it is taking to the next level subclass. Then read delivery, to which what is the implementing class for the read delivery method? Your immediate superclass sub1, right? So in the multi-level, sorry, in the multi-level inheritance, it will acquire methods and attributes from the top level superclass if they are protected or public, right? As long as they are public or protected, they will be acquired. Is everyone clear? And here you can add your own classes attributes in this subclass, and again you make it as a superclass for different subclass. So by using these superclasses and subclasses, we are able to provide some basic or default implementation or default functionality where different developers can add different flavors of the implementation in the subclass levels, right? The basic functionality is same, but different developer can add a small different flavor of the business logic or functionality in their subclasses, right? Without disturbing the existing functionality. You can reuse methods, attributes, constants in the next level subclass. What is multi-level inheritance? Sorry, hierarchical inheritance. We are going to create one more subclass for example, sub 3 for the same superclass. Then that's we are going to call it as hierarchical inheritance. In hierarchical inheritance also same. The top level superclass and next level superclass, methods and attributes will be added to the last level child. Okay. So here, what did we understand? Subclass can act as or child class can act as a parent class for the next level child class. Okay. As long as it is not final. Is everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
It's very important interview question and we are going to use it in the projects. Okay. Now, is everyone clear on inheritance concept? There is no difference in calling the class methods. Only thing you need to understand how to reuse and redefine superclass methods in the subclass. Okay. Now let me see one more concept quickly. Abstract class. So what is the abstract class? How it is different from the regular class? So what does a class contains?
Attributes, methods,
Attributes and methods. Methods with only definitions or implementation.
both.
It contains definition and implementation. But the abstract class contains methods without any implementation. It contains the method only with the signature, means import and export parameters. That's it. There is no business logic implemented in it, and there is no implementation added to the abstract methods. So, what do we call that method? The method without any implementation?
Abstract.
Abstract
Abstract
method.
method. A class which contains the abstract method, what do we call that class?
Abstract class.
Abstract class. So it contains abstract methods. The class which contains the abstract methods, what do we call it? Abstract class. What is the abstract method?
Which contains only
Method
the
contains only the definition, not the implementation. Okay, that's what we call it as abstract method. Okay. Okay, so the abstract method contains only the definition of the method, that means signature, not the implementation. Okay, now there are some special rules for the abstract classes. We cannot create the object for abstract class. That means you cannot directly call abstract class methods in your applications. You cannot create the object for abstract class. Okay, and abstract class contains abstract class. It won't only contains, right, abstract method, it can also contains normal methods. Okay, so abstract class contains normal methods also along with the abstract methods, but if there is any at least one abstract method, we're going to call it as abstract class, and you cannot create object for that abstract class if there is any, if there is at least one abstract method, right? Along with the abstract method you can have normal methods as well. Okay, can only use in the subclass to create the implementation. Okay, you can redefine the abstract methods only in the subclass level. You can create the implementation only in the subclass. So this abstract class acts as some default implementation or blueprint for the subclasses. Okay, so we achieve abstract methods, or we create subclasses using inheritance concept, right? Both are abstract classes and inheritance are closely associated. Okay, so you should redefine the abstract class method to create the implementation in the subclass. Okay, so where it hides the implementation details in the subclass. Okay, so the implementation details will be available in superclass, and you are going to just refer the subclass. Okay, can we use normal methods in abstract class?
Yes.
Yes. Let me create one simple abstract class. Or I'm going to copy this into another class. I'll change the method as abstract method. Change it. Currently, it contains two methods. Both contains implementation, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to add one method. Some get data method with public visibility. So how can we set this method as abstract method? I think somewhere here we have an option. Go to the method properties, abstract. Okay. For this method, we are setting as abstract method. If there is any existing implementation for this method, That will be deleted. Now I've created one abstract method in the class. Now what we call this class?
Struct class.
Abstract class, and I can add some parameters. For example, I'm just adding some test parameters. Okay, like importing, exporting parameters you can add. Right now activate the class. Now what do we call this class? Abstract class, and this is the abstract method. Now let me call this class in any program, or let me call that class here. I'll try to create object for this. For this abstract class, I'm trying to create the object. I'll change the object name. Check. What it is saying? What is the error we got? Instance of the abstract class cannot be generated. You cannot create object for the abstract class. But how can you call the abstract class methods? How can you create implementation for the abstract class methods?
In subclass.
Create subclass. Can abstract class be a final class? Can we use
No,
final checkbox for the abstract class?
no, sir.
If you select it, there is no meaning in creating abstract methods. You cannot reuse them, right, in subclasses. Now, add this as a superclass here. Save. If you try to create any implementation, it won't allow you in the abstract class. It says it's abstract. So where can you create the implementation? Go to methods. Here, how to create the implementation? How to create the implementation for abstract method?
By
If you
using
double click on
redefine.
it, it won't allow you. By
Redefine.
using redefine option, redefine the method and add your own logic here, right? Example, some functionality and activate it, right? Now your abstract method is implemented inside the subclass. You can call the subclass method in the program. For example, I'm going to add this abstract class, sorry, subclass in the program to create the object. Is it going to allow?
Yes.
Yes, it is allowed because we are creating instance for the subclass of the abstract class, right? So here you can access methods available in the subclass which are coming from abstract class. So abstract class acts as a one high level default implementation where you can add different flavors using your own subclasses. It enforce you to use one common design in subclasses, right? So the immediate interview question when you are discussing about abstract classes in interfaces. What is the difference between interface and a abstract class? So interface, what is the interface? It contains methods without any implementation, right? It contains methods without any implementation. Abstract class also contains methods without any implementation, right?
Yes.
But what is the difference between interface and abstract class? For example, all standard interfaces, existing interfaces will start with ZIF. Also, when you are trying to create a custom interface, please select ZIF, okay, as a naming standard. Okay, let me open any standard interface just to show you how the methods will be available here. There is one interface related to MRM special period, some interface. Open this interface. What you can see here, two methods, no attributes here. You can have attributes and constants as well. But is there any implementation for these methods? Double click. No implementation, right? So it contains only methods and relevant parameters, signature of the method. It won't contains any implementation. You can implement only within the class. By adding this interface to a class, you can create the implementation. What is the difference between abstract class and interface?
Abstract
Abstract
class
class
will be
contains
normal.
abstract methods without implementation and normal methods with implementation. What about the interface?
Contains only.
Only the methods without implementation. By default, public visibility without any implementation. Right? That's called interface. Okay? How can you implement the interface? For example, if you need to implement these interface methods, you cannot directly implement. You need to add it to a class. How can you add? For example, go to this class. Okay, this is abstract class, right? Let me add it to a normal class. Go to interfaces in the class, add the interface name here. Okay. Now go to the methods. These are the methods coming from the interface. You can create the implementation here by double click. You don't need to redefine. Okay, you don't need to redefine methods of the interface. Okay, double click and create the implementation. Okay, so interface method names will prefix with the interface name, right? That's why even there are two interfaces with same method name, it won't duplicate because interface names are different, right? You can add multiple interfaces here. So it will provide you default signature attributes of the interface. Okay, is everyone clear? It's
Sir, how we call
very
interface, sir?
sorry,
In
what is it?
how we call interface in sub.
Simple. First, you need to add the interface here. If you create a if you have standard or if you create a custom interface, add the interface name here in the interface tab. Okay. Now go to methods and create the implementation for the interface and just call. Let me. I'm not adding any code, just activating the implementation. Now to call this method, simple. Create the object. Go to the program. What is the class name? Sub1, right? Yeah, here we have already created the instance. We'll use this instance to call this interface method. Call method. provide the instance name. Sub1 is our now select your method, right? Which one we implemented? Right? This is how you can call the method of interface method. Only thing is it's prefixed with the interface name. Okay? Pass the required importing and exporting parameters to call the interface. Okay? Is everyone clear? Very, very important interview question about abstract classes, interfaces, and inheritance. Okay? Please prepare and practice.